Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to, well, something a little impromptu tonight. Tonight we got a little sneak preview of Weather Machine, the upcoming game from Vital Lacerda and Eagle-Gryphon Games. Now, Eagle-Gryphon was kind enough to send us this pre-production copy of the game, and, really excited about it. They're a partner of ours. They didn't sponsor this. This is something I just wanted to do. So this is, if you have questions, tonight's the night to ask them, I think. I got their permission to show this off ahead of time, the whole 9 yards. We will have a sponsored playthrough during the campaign of Weather Machine, which I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe kicks off November 11th. But my job tonight isn't to sell the game. My job tonight isn't to persuade you one way or the other. I just thought, you know what? I know a lot of people are excited about the game, and we busted it out at game day on Saturday, and so why don't I show it off to y'all? I don't have anything going on until 8:30 when I have therapy, so why not? Let's bust this out. So that's what we're doing tonight. I have it set up theoretically for a 3-player game. That's what we played the game on Saturday. We're playing it again tomorrow. On Tuesday is a 4-player game. Yeah. So a couple of things before we get started. First off, this is a pre-production copy. What does that mean to y'all? What that means is these are copies that were sent to the publisher basically to look over, make sure anything you want to change, now's the time to change it type thing. So in other words, most of this stuff is pretty close to final with Ian O'Toole's artwork and the whole 9 yards. However, components may change, some little details may change, but for the most part, this is going to be what y'all are going to be seeing during the Kickstarter. Now, that said, I don't have an insert, so no unboxing. I don't really have the yellow pieces. There was a screen printing thing they noticed, so I'm not going to be playing yellow for the stream. I'm going to be playing orange. But other than that, anything else having to do with the Kickstarter or whatnot, I have nothing to do with that. I can't answer any questions. And unfortunately, Randall, the CEO of Eagle, is currently on an airplane, so he can't answer any questions. But I know that Vital said he might stop by in chat, so Vital may join. And yeah, I think that's about it. If I didn't tell you that this was a pre-production copy and I handed you this, the physical components, you wouldn't be able to tell because it's super thick. It's got dual layer player boards, the whole 9 yards that you would expect from Eagle-Gryphon. So there we go. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Here it is. Welcome to Weather Machine, right? Now, I'm not going to teach the game tonight. In fact, I'm not prepared yet. I've only had one play of this, and no, I'm just not ready. So what I am comfortable doing is kind of giving you an overview and a flow of the game that I feel I can do pretty well, or at least roughly. And then I'll go over components and all that stuff. So if there's something y'all want to see specifically. Hey, I see Vital's in chat. There we go. Hey, Vital. All right, good. Yeah, and as Martin says, I've seen finished games that are worse quality than this. Yes, that is a true statement. So, all right. So down here we have my player board. Okay. Then I don't have the other player boards set up because, frankly, I mean, it's a Vital game, and what I mean by that is it takes a pretty good footprint. So in order to have it as tight of a camera as I do on this, I needed to omit at least one of the other player boards. So during the live stream, this will be zoomed out a little so that we can fit 2 other player boards. So keep that in mind. But the player board here is set up for as if it were a multiplayer game. Oh, also, I don't have anything solo. Like, I don't have the solo rulebook. I don't have solo components. I don't have any of that. So keep that in mind also. So I can't answer any questions on that. But enough of all of those. My player board here, which is called your laboratory if you're over in the UK, or laboratory for everywhere else. So you have your laboratory, your player board. Then the board looks kind of Kanban-esque in that, oh my, there's a lot of stuff going on, until you know how to break it down into chunks, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and kind of break it down in chunks And that way, before I go through what it is you're going to be doing in the game, it kind of has a little bit of context. So actually, right here, this area down here is kind of the flow of the game, all right? So that's what we're zoomed in on right here, okay? So the game structure, if you will, is that the game is going to take place over about a dozen rounds. And each round has a phase A, a phase B, and then a phase C potentially. All right, rinse and repeat, do that until the end of the game is triggered. Okay, easy enough on that. So that's kind of the real high level flow of the game. But then after we have the kind of player aid here, or the flow of the game, there are essentially, we'll call it 5 areas, really. You have the first one, which is down here. Oops, let's try that again. Down here, which is supply, okay? And this is going to be where you're one of the 4 spots, really, that your workers, your scientists, are going to be able to go to. So that is this area, basically, that is all down here, okay? And that also includes, sorry, brain cramp. Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. So you have your workers down here, which, if you're familiar with Kanban, you have 1 worker. And so in this game, your worker is going to move around to the various spots. So this is the supply area that, or at least what we're going to call the supply area. All right. All right. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that works. It is supply. All right, good. So the second area is over here, which is basically from here over, but north of that, which is area 2, which is the government. The government, all right? So the government, let's try that again. There we go, that's a little bit better. So you have your worker placement spots down here, these 3 spots there, and then the available actions on which you can take with the government over there. Now, up above that, up there, you have the government track, which you're going to be advancing to be able to get benefits and score points at the end of the game, the whole 9 yards. But really, as far as your action, the main part of your actions are going to be concentrated right there. So that's going to be the second area that's available. The third area is going to be the middle part, again, from here up above, all the way up, including the track. That's going to be the lab, or yeah, the lab. And again, just to keep it tighter, we have the track up top there. But as it is, the lab is going to be worker placement spots, 2 available actions that you can take and do stuff there. We'll go over this a bit more in detail as we go along. Then over on this side of the board, again, from this point up, is going to be the 4th spot, and that is the R&D area. Again, it has the track up top, and then again, worker placement spots, available actions, and then do stuff up there. Easy enough, right? The 5th spot isn't a worker placement spot. What that is this area right over here, all right? Let me see, where do I have that? Nah, not really. Really don't have it a good zoom in on this, so let's go ahead and bring that around a little bit better. Okay, that'll work. So there. So the 5th spot, there we go. So if there is a phase C, or in phase C, and if Lativ, which is going to be kind of Sandra-esque if you're familiar with Kanban, if Lativ or Lativ, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, is here, it's going to give us income. So cool. And then we have endgame scoring stuff right there. Pretty simple on that. All right? Okay. So I think now probably the best way to go about doing this for this overview, and I'm not going to do this nearly as well as Vital would be able to. A, it's his game, and B, I've only played it once. But let's go ahead and kind of go over, again, the flow of the game. So each round is going to have each player taking their turns, then we're going to run the weather machine, and then we're going to do end of round stuff, right? So let's go over before I zoom in on all of this, phase A is going to be the player turns, which is the meat of the game, okay? So, phase A, do our stuff in turn order, take one action each. That's going to consist of a number of steps, since that's the meat of the game. Turn B is run the weather machine or don't, depending on whether or not it is set up to run. But either way, things are going to happen whether it runs or not. And then phase C, change turn order and then possibly get some income ready for the beginning of next round. Okay? Okay. Oh, it's Vital backwards. I just saw that. All right. Clever. Okay. So it's going to be Vital. All right. So it's no longer Lativ. It's Vital. All right. Good. Easy enough. All right. So like I just said, player turns, run the weather machine one way or the other. Either you're going to run it or you're not going to run it. And whether you run it or not, things will happen. Okay. And then, well, things will happen. And then phase C right there. Okay. So let's go over the available things that you can do on your turn. All right. That kind of makes the most sense, I think. On your turn, you have to move. Again, I'm going to reference Kanban because this part of the game, this mechanism of moving around the board, is going to be very akin to Kanban. If you're not familiar with Kanban, then ignore the comparison or the similarity. I'll explain it, but just know that it's very Kanban-esque in that wherever you are, you gotta move. So if you are in Area 1 in supply, you either have to move to government and you have 3 spots from which you can go to, or you go to the lab, again 3 spots to go to, or you go to R&D, 3 spots to go to. If you're in one of those, you can move to the other 3. Rinse and repeat, okay? On your turn, so for argument's sake, here, let's say it's my turn, I'm there, I can choose to go to one of those 3 main locations. Now, when I go there, if I go to, and we'll go ahead and look at just the lab just to make it easy because it's straight on here. If I choose to go to one of the darker areas here, I'm going to run either the left or carry out the left action or the right action. It is more powerful to go to the left action because notice this says and in fact, we will go ahead and show you all that. Let's just focus on the action part itself. So this says you get to run that side and that side, but you're going to give the opponent, your opponents, benefits by going to the left. Here or here, it's going to be an either or. Okay, that makes sense? I think that's pretty cut and dried. Okay, so the iconography, Ian did a great job with laying out the iconography over here. And I haven't gone over how to teach this game yet, so I don't know the best way to lay it out as far as, like I said, teaching the various things and what you're trying to do. So, the goal of the game is victory points, or climate points, as the game calls it, CPs, right? So, victory point track, top and bottom. We all start at 0. Let me see, do I have my little handy dandy? I don't. I do. There we go. We all start at 0 points up there. Okay. Goal of the game is climate points. How you're going to get climate points outside of end game stuff is you're going to be, all right. No, I'm not ready to be able to teach all that way. So instead of doing it that way, I think I'll go over what the available actions are in the various locations and then put it together after I've done that. I think that's probably the best way. And I hear you, Vital, follow the flow of the rule book. The rule book's there to teach, but not necessarily learn. I digress. So, the beginning of the game, okay, you know what? No, before we even go there, let's bring this over to my player board. Let's go over this, because I think this is going to inform things, okay? So your player board here, as I mentioned, each player turn is going to be broken up into a series of 4 steps. Step 1 is laid out right here. Then step 2 is that. Step 3 is this. And step 4 is that. So let's go ahead and go over what those things are. So step 1, let me back up here in the rule book. I want to make sure that I get this laid out right for you guys. The first thing is you may either use a subsidy tile or an investment tile, okay? Now, this is going to be one of the main ways one of the ways that you're going to be scoring points for the end of the game. And I bring that up because over here, everybody is going to have an asymmetric set of goal tiles. Now, when I say asymmetric, notice this symbol here in the bottom left of my tiles. I happen to be assigned the square tiles, whereas there are others. There's the triangle set, there is the plus set, and I believe there are 2 others in there. Now, why does that matter? Because as I mentioned, they are asymmetric. So those 4 that you can see right there, all of them have different goals. So even though there are 3 blue, 3 green, and 3 purple, they are all different. So what I'm going for here with the square is going to be different than what Martin's going to go for, or Shrey, or Jess, or anybody else. So keep that in mind. I thought that was a kind of a nice touch. So this is going to give you one of the directions that you are going to shoot for. You have 9 of these. You are not going to be able to do all 9 of them. Why? Because at the beginning of your turn, even though there are about 12 turns in the game, you're only going to be able to acquire, because those start off your board. There are 2 spots for each blue, green, and purple, meaning at most, in a perfect world, which realistically I don't see this happening, especially in your first few turns, you're going to be able to get 6 of them total, 2 of each color. So of the 9, realistically, pick 1 to 3 is my guess, but again, one play, keep that in mind. So you either, if you have acquired any of these tiles up here, okay, so these subsidy tiles, if you've acquired any of those, or you've acquired any of these investment tokens, then you can go ahead and get the benefits of those. I'm not going to belabor that right now, other than this is going to be the way you're going to get your endgame goal tiles. Okay? Cool. All right. So that's the first thing. And notice the big old slash. You either do a subsidy or an investment. Okay, enough on that. Excuse me. The second thing on your turn is move your scientist. Just like what I had said, right? You're going to be in starting area 1 in supply. You can move there, 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 or possibly back there if you're not there. So move your scientist. Okay, cool. When you do so, you're going to, and let me go ahead and show, let's move it up there so I can show this and zoom this in a little bit better. Okay. When you move your scientist, you're either going to gain or pay vouchers depending on where you go. So what we're looking at are these 3 spaces right here. When you move your scientist, so in my case, if I choose to go to the middle spot right there, realistically, I would probably choose the one on the far right, okay? If Vital is here and taking one of the available spots, I'm going to gain a benefit. If there are any other players already here, so let's say they are there and then I move over, I'm going to gain a benefit for that. So that's good. So being to the left usually is going to be stronger, but being to the right means you're going to get benefits of things that are to your left, if that makes sense, I hope. All right. Now, what are the benefits? Well, I mentioned those are vouchers. Let's go ahead and look at this part of your player board right now. I said I wasn't going to teach it yet. That's kind of what I'm doing. There are 5 different types of vouchers, which correspond to the 4 different areas: supply, number 1, government, number 2, lab, number 3, R&D, number 4, and science. Science, just being funny. Science is a wild. Science can be used to replace or to subsidize, if you will, any of these. Now, if you look here, you'll notice that there's a little bitty circle right there. That's going to be where they start. So you start with 4 supply, 1 government, 1 lab, 1 R&D, and then 2 science wild ones. Because whenever you go to a location, you're going to gain the benefit that's there. So let's go ahead and look here so you can get them both. So if I went out here, I'm going to gain 1 science because Vital is there. So if possible. So if I were already maxed out on science, guess what? I forfeit that. I don't get the benefit for doing that. So boo, hiss, boo. Okay? That makes sense? Okay? If I had gone and another player was there, I'm going to gain a voucher for whatever that location is. So I'm at the lab, as you can see right there, so I'm going to gain a voucher there. But at the beginning of the game, they're not going to be there. So if I go here, I am not going to gain anything because, well, they're not there. Okay? Check that. Not lab. I'm getting R&D. Notice what is shown there? I apologize. Yeah, so I would gain an R&D, not a lab. I would gain an R&D. And by the way, at government, you gain lab, which is the one to the right. At lab, you gain R&D. At R&D, you gain government, okay? And when you're down here at supply, you gain whatever you want. So that's nice. Fine, Latif. Okay, fine. Okay, fine, Vital. All right. So when you go here, you're going to gain any vouchers if Latif is there or your opponents are there, and then move your mark up accordingly, provided you can. If you're maxed, you forfeit it. Okay? So the next thing that's going to happen when you go is now you have to decide. If you went to the middle or the right location, you can do either the left action or the right action. If you went to the far left one, you can do them both. However, there is a cost associated with the left and right actions. All of the left actions cost 1 of the voucher for where you are. So even though you gained R&D for potentially going here, you're going to pay lab, because that's where you went. So this costs you 1 lab voucher, this one costs you 2 lab vouchers, and if you do them both, you guessed it, no discount, you pay 3 lab vouchers. Well, again, in this case, let's say I wanted to go all the way to the left space there. Well, I only have 2 lab vouchers. Well, guess what? 1, 2, and 3 for the science. There we go. Okay? Cool? That makes sense? So, now you can take the action. Well, what are the available actions? Well, let's go ahead and start off here with supply. Let's go over with supply. Oh, and by the way, one other thing. Whenever you go to a location, you gain 1 for just going there. So, forgot to mention that. So, a base of 1 and then 1 for every other. Supply is going to be an odd thing in that you're going to pay vouchers here, but I'm not going to go over that in detail. I'm just going to go over what the available actions are. All right. So the available actions here in the supply are these 3 as shown there, and chemicals. All right. So the first thing is, this is the only way that player order changes. It costs you 1 supply to do this, and you move your marker wherever you want and slide people. So if you want to go first, go first. You want to go last, and slide people around. Easy enough, pretty simple. That costs 1 supply. That will take effect at the end of the round for the next round, and permanently if nobody changes turn order. Okay. The next thing that you can do is you can gain bots off of your player board. So your player board starts with 12 bots. Okay, and these bots are going to be instrumental to be able to come out and do things there, and there to be able to then contribute to building the prototype, which is the weather machine, right? So if you take a look over here on this part of your player board, so I guess I should back up. We already covered part 1, we covered part 2, moving your scientists, and now we're moving into part 3, which is take actions. So here, to begin with, only this area and only this area are available at the beginning of the game. This spot unlocks when either you've unlocked all 6 of your robots or you have 5 or more tiles. already out here on your player board. Well, I don't have either of those, so I can't unlock those. And this one is just like that, except 9 and 8 respectively. And they cost 2 supply and 3 supply, whereas 1 and 2 supply. There is no order as far as you have to take these before those. You don't have to do that. If you want to take this one at the beginning, you can do so. It just costs more supply to do so. So the amount of supply you choose to spend, well, I have 4 and I have a couple of science. So theoretically, I have 6 supply to spend to be able to get stuff. Now, what am I going to need to get? I'm going to need to get robots. I'm going to need to get chemicals, and I'm going to need to be able to get tiles to be able to have more spots to do more things over here in my tableau. All right. But we're talking about gaining robots. To gain a robot, pretty simple. So let's say I want, say the second one here. I pay 1 supply. I take that robot there. Come here. And by the way, these are double layer player boards. I'm just clumsy. There we go. And you can put it down in any spot that is empty. So that one, I could put it there. This spot is for chemicals and chemicals only. Okay. And that spot is where this will start. Your little machine part there. But realistically, you'd probably put it right there to begin with. Good. Now, I do have 1 spot available for either a machine part, notice the outline of that shape, or a bot. And let's say, hey, I want to go ahead. Oh, and I should have gotten an R&D when I did that. And I want the government one, so I will spend 1 more supply. I gain a government, and boom, done there. Okay, easy enough there. Now, other actions that I can do is I can go ahead and get tiles. And I want to make sure that I get the extending your workshop is what that is technically called right here. And that will cost you 1 supply. You have 5 available. You have these 4 and top of mystery meat right there. All right. So you choose one. Now, what are you looking at? I will explain that here in a minute, but let's say I want to go ahead and grab this one here, or better yet, just make it easy. We'll take that one. And that is going to come over here to our workshop. Our workshop, now, you see that you have these 3 printed and you start with 1 over here. And what you're looking at is either matching up a spot for a particular color of chemical, or you could forego that and just place adjacent to any other. What you are not allowed to do is something like that, to where the chemical colors do not match. Can't do that. So in this case, I literally have 2 options. I either match that one there, and again, you can always freely turn this around however you want, or put it adjacent to an existing, orthogonally adjacent to another one, which now that extends this line. I'll explain that later, or maybe I won't. We'll see, depending on how in depth we go here. But there you go. Y'all following along at least? That makes sense? Yeah, by the way, these, not dual layer, they're just really thick tiles. So there, okay. All right, so that's 3rd action. 4th action is grab chemicals or sell chemicals. So when you're here, you notice these chemicals cost 1, check that, cost 1 to purchase. If all of these are bought, then they get more expensive because supply and demand. You can go the other direction and sell chemicals back. So maybe you got something that you don't necessarily want, and maybe you had bought it for 1, but now all of these are removed. And hey, you always take from the left, refill to the right. So you might be able to do a little arbitrage here, possibly to sell it for more than you got. Okay, anyway, you spend supply, you grab a chemical, and let's say I grab this red one right there. It comes back over here. And again, there are 2 spots right now I have on my player board. I could either put it here for any color, or I could put it on the matching color, like so, there. And then leave that open for something else. The reason I'm going to want to do all of this is to be able to do these actions out here, you're going to need these various resources, be it bots, chemicals, and gears or machine parts. Okay? All right? That makes sense? Cool? Good. So those are the available things that you can do down here in supply. Y'all following along? Okay? All right. So now, let's go ahead and focus first on the available actions, and then we'll go over the other stuff. So just like going to the other places, you have three locations. The far left one, you're allowed to go to both, but not in the first round. You're not allowed to do that, but more on that later. Okay. So you either, you're going to gain a lab voucher, possibly more if other people are here, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, one other thing I did not explain. If a player goes, so let's say Latif is here and I went over there. As soon as you move there, he bugs out. He's always going to move consecutive number, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So he was at 3, he'll always go to the far left. And much like Kanban, if that spot is completely full, he'll just skip it and move all the way over to the next room. But he will take one of the 3 spots if they're available furthest to the left. Okay? All right, good, cool. All right, so the actions here, government, are: first things first, you're going to advance 1 on the government track. Then you must place a bot in one of the 3 weather location spots here. Then you're going to you must also place a machine part and take the subsidy tile. And then you're going to go ahead and get, those are called vouchers, research token. You will then take the research token. Easy enough. I'll go over that in detail in a second. This action, which again costs 2 government as opposed to the 1 government. Instead, you're going to get the bonus where that tile that you choose intersects at and just flip it over. The end. Okay. Well, pretty simple. Let's go ahead and talk about the second one first, because honestly, I think that one's easier to explain. So you'll notice that there are icons above each and to the left to where of the various subsidy tiles. Let's say I want to do that action right there. That action says take 1 machine part of your choice from the supply. Cool. All right. So if I choose this, I say I'm going to do that. I flip that over to the yellow side. Then I choose one of the machine parts, provided I have room, and oh, hey, I do have room. So let's say, you know what, I want to go ahead and get one of the white ones. I plop it over here, there, boom, that is that part of it. But then I need to, hold on one second. I misspoke. You don't get the benefit of what it is. Instead, you get the benefit of where they intersect. My bad. So in this case, I would get 1 science and I would get 1 R&D. Okay? And then I would flip over that tile to say that that intersection has already been taken. It can't be taken again this game. No, I lied. No, I was right. Damn it. I did it in the wrong order. You do get it. I don't know why I'm confusing myself. See, this is why I don't do this with 1 play normally. All right. So gain the benefit and gain the intersection, and that costs you 2 government. Any questions on that? Ah. Okay, good. Sheesh. I think I was new at this. All right. The other action, which is more complex and arguably more important to actually doing what it is you're trying to do in the game. So this will cost you 1 government. Then you will move 1 step on the government track. Boop. Done. Then you need to place a bot on any of these that are out here. So we take a look. I have 2 bots. I'll probably take that one because that's covering up a space for a machine part. Okay. I have all 15 spots available to me. However, the spot that I go on dictates what color machine part I have to place. So I have a green and white. So what does that mean? I'm going there, 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 or there. Okay. Let's say for argument's sake, I did both of these actions. Okay. So I had actually moved to there. I did this to get that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take one of my bots and place it on either of the available spots out here. Then I have to take a machine part from my board and take the tile, regardless of whether the tile is flipped or not. So, boop. And then it comes over to my board, and when it comes over to my board, it goes to the left side, and oh, look at that. It miraculously becomes its natural color again, so I can use it later on a subsequent turn. Okay? Cool? So, move the track, place a bot, place a matching color to where you placed out there, and then you're going to go ahead and get a research tile. Now, which research tile? I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but hey, I'm going to go ahead and get a wind one. Why? Because it's on the wind column. So I take this, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right here on my board. That would be step 3 here. That makes sense? Good. All right, let's move on. Go over the other actions. So the other actions here, now in the lab. This one, we're going to do the left side before the right side because the right side is far more complex. All right, so go here, get an R&D, possibly extra R&D if other players are there, etc. Spend 1 lab. Move up 1 on the lab track. I think we've already covered that. I don't need to go over that in detail. Then place a bot and a matching chemical to the spot that you go to. So you'll notice that there are a number of spots here in the column, okay, to be able to go up here, which will help run the weather machine. Okay, remember in phase B, that's kind of what we're trying to do is run the weather machine. This is going to be one of the main ways you're going to get victory points. So when I choose to go out here, I have a red chemical. I forget the actual name. So I could either go there or I could go there. So I go ahead, I place a bot and a chemical. So I place my 1 remaining bot, and let's say I go ahead and place it here, there, and then I need to place a chemical back into the supply. So the supply is this area down here. Fill it up furthest to the right. Boom, like that. And now I have a bot permanently there. At least can be permanently if I choose it to be. Why this matters is when we get to phase B, and this is a tricky timing aspect of this. Wherever Lativ's assistant is, right here, at the end of at the beginning of phase B, we're going to look and see, are there bots, be it Lativ's bots, so the AI bots, if you will, or our player collectively, are they out here? If the answer is yes, and there is a weather tile for it in the available 3 spots, then that we're going to run the weather machine, okay? But you'll notice that the snow one, so it's a little bit, yeah, no, y'all can see it. We have wind, rain, sun, fog, and snow. You'll notice that that one is not available out there, so it's not going to run this time. So what's going to happen is his assistant is just going to go ahead and move here. At the end of the next round, we will see, is rain is out there, and then are these filled? If the answer is yes, then the weather machine for rain will run, so on and so forth. So the timing of this can be really tricky, getting these not only filled, but also making sure that his assistant is there and the tile is out there. And that can be really tricky for folks. Timing-wise, or at least we found it in our first play, it's extraordinarily tricky. So be careful of that. Okay, so that is that action, placing a bot. You don't get any benefit of it yet. You'll get benefit when that machine runs, but as it is, you don't get any benefit right now. Okay, the second half of this we're going to skip this for now, I guess, because it makes more sense to come back to that. Also notice these research tiles. There are 3 of these, there are 2 of those, and there are 2 of those. You only get research tiles if you have a bot here when the weather machine runs. can be very, very tricky for timing again, okay? Okay, so we'll come back to that later. Moving over to R&D. Again, same thing, 3 spots, etc., gain whatever, and he would advance, move down there, and then there are 2 actions. Again, spend 1 or 2 vouchers, or science, any mix of that you want to do. Move up that track up there, okay. Then place a robot, and then place a chemical. Okay, pretty simple. So you're placing robots out here to cover and gain whatever the benefit is shown on the middle there. However, the bottom row, you'll notice that there is an additional payment that you're going to have to make. Normally, you pay, let's say I were to move a bot and I choose to go to this location right here. I will go there, I have to pay the matching chemical from my board, and then I will gain whatever the benefit is. In this case, gain chemicals, gain another machine spot / chemical tile, gain a machine part, increase any 1 voucher, and this is advance any 1 track. These down here are gain a bot, but you have to not only place the bot on there, pay the chemical, and then pay 1 other chemical of your choice, or pay 1 machine part of your choice, etc., etc. So it's more expensive to go on to the bottom ones, okay? Then you get whatever the middle is. Now, this, tricky, you do have to, like, if you were to get this bot, you still got to pay all the associated costs to gain that bot, or the chemical. And those are 1, 2, or 3 for the chemical, and the bot, depending on where you take it from your board, 1, 2, or possibly 3 supply. So you still got to pay for it. It just allows you to do it without having to go down into the supply spot. Then after you've done that, depending on where you put your bot, you're going to then take 1 of the research tiles and place it out here on your board there. Okay? Easy enough? Okay. This last thing we're going to come back to here in a moment as well, because next we need to talk about step 4 on your player board. So on step 4, you will have acquired some number of tiles here, like so, up here. You may then freely place them out here in your reward slots. Now, these are double layers, so you can see the blue ones obviously go there, the green ones go there, the purple ones go there, pink, purple, whatever. You get the idea. Each one has a benefit or 2 benefits on its column. So you'll notice the blue on my board has this one and this one, which they are symmetric between the player boards, by the way. The green ones have those 2 bonuses, and the pink ones have those 2 bonuses. So maybe I want to go ahead and place that right here. When you cover it, get whatever it is. 2 bonus supply. Oh, that'd be awesome. So I'll go ahead 1, 2, because when I go back to supply, that'd be helpful. Great. Then I can go ahead and place this. Now you'll notice that each one of these rows must have this same weather associated with it. So this being fog, I cannot place that there. But I can, if I want, go ahead and place it here to gain 2 more supply. But then that is going to be a rain column row, and that's going to be a fog row. I cannot do that. All right, easy enough. Easy enough? Easy enough. All right. So why does that matter? Well, now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and talk about the second part of the action over here. Okay? Whew. All right, let me get a drink. Give me a second. Are y'all following along, at least roughly? I hope. If not, lie to me. You know what? Nope. We're going to have to back up and move over to, oh, how do we? And here's a tricky thing. So I'm not, have a good one, Martin. Thanks for hanging out. So here is a bit of the tricky spot here. And this is something that I haven't quite figured out during my play of the game so far. Hold on. And here's where I can actually ask Vital for help on this, and Shrey. So, to be able to publish a paper, which is what this action is, you need to have all three, or at least two of the three, available in the same row. So let's say, instead of gaining that, what we're going to do is maybe I came over here and got that, and then I placed that there. So I now have two of the three available to publish a paper. Now, you can publish a paper even though you only have two of the three, because if you have two tokens in a row of your office and the lock token from the corresponding citation space has been removed, you can complete it. So there are locks right here for the different types of weather. So if somebody has already published a paper, to be able to do that, they can remove one of those locks. Ah, there it is. Now I figured it out. We're good. We're good. All right. So let's go back to research or to publishing a paper. So on my player board, let's say I have two of those. One from placing the bot out here from this action, and one from going and placing a, well, it technically should have had a bot out here. I stole it. There, placing the tile and grabbing that there. So I've done that. I've placed that. I've placed that. I now have two of those three tiles. Okay? So I need three to publish a paper. However, as shown right here, if you have two of three, you can, if there is a citation space matching the weather of a published paper, still has a lock token on it, and they all do. So I'm talking about this one right here for fog. I can do so. I can remove it. If I do, I can pay one science voucher and score 3 points. So there, and it is now. I will now be able to publish this paper, and anybody else that does that for a fog can now cite that. And by citing that, what they can do is they can discard one of their goal tiles that they don't think they're going to reach for the game, discard it out of the game, and that will basically fill in that third spot. And that will be a citation marker, which would go like so. Okay? All right. So now I have all three in there. So the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to move that over, that row over to the right. I'm going to gain the bonus that's shown on this track. So in this case, I'm going to get a bot, and I'm going to get, I'm going to score some amount of points, and then I'm going to get an investment tile. So this slides over. I will then get a bot from my board over here, which right now it still would be only those. And then I'm going to get an investment tile and score some amount of points. How many points do I score? It depends on which color tiles I have out there. If you use an award tile, we haven't talked about that, score 4 points for each, 2 points for each color tile, and 0 for a citation. Well, I have a citation and 2 colored tiles, so that'd be 4 points total, and then I'm going to get 1 investment token. The investment token will come over here, and remember, at the beginning of a turn, you can either use a subsidy or a investment token to be able to do things. Okay, there you go. All right. So that said, that is the publishing a paper action. So now that I've published a paper on it, now we can actually come over here and talk about that last action. And that last action is having a breakthrough. So we already covered how to do that one. This one, having the breakthrough, is choose a row in your office where you have a published paper and a breakthrough marker is on the rightmost space. Oh, you mean like this one here. So I have a breakthrough marker pushed to the right because I've already published a paper which did that, right? Okay, cool. Then after that, you're going to have to pay a number of science vouchers as depicted on the extreme weather. Well, the extreme weather tiles are these up here, and it will get harder, possibly, or easier, depending on how the game goes along. So you'll notice the payment here is 0 vouchers. However, if the more extreme tile were out here, I would have to pay 1 science voucher or 2 science vouchers, depending on how bad and how extreme the weather is. So we're doing fog. So as it is, though, I don't have to pay any science vouchers to be able to do that. Okay, done. Then I'm going to place my breakthrough marker, the one that was in that same row, up here and get whatever the bonus is. Get a machine part, score 2 points, or get any 1 voucher of my choice. Hey, I'll go ahead and get a machine part from the supply there. Boom, done. Okay. Then gonna build the prototype, which grants victory points to you and possibly other players. We'll come back to that in a minute. Then you're going to take an award token. Oh, that's how you get award tokens that are going to score you 4 points whenever you use them to fill in a spot out there, right? So on a subsequent one, maybe I don't have that one, but I have those 2, that'll score me an additional. So if it were along the lines of that, that'd be 8 points. That makes sense? Cool, good. All right. Yeah, all right, so building a prototype is pretty simple, but this part kind of tripped us up a little bit, and I think this is going to be important. So give me a second. Let me grab some other bots out here to be able to make an example. Yeah, I think that works. So let's say, yeah, you know what? Let's keep it like that. Okay. So on our prototype, we're going to score some amount of points out here, but it's also going to possibly require us to give up various types of machine parts that we hopefully have on our player board. This part of our prototype and this part of our prototype, so 2 of the 3 are covered by bots. We are not required to give up any machine parts. However, nobody is on this one. Well, that means I am required to give up a machine part of that color. If I don't, well then I can't do the prototype. You won't score points for it. However, I will go ahead and pay for that there. So I'm going to score 2 points for every machine part that I gave up and 2 points for each of my bots out there. Now, if I wish to give up a white machine part to go ahead and cover instead of that, the black player getting points, and if I wanted to score additional points giving up an additional white machine part, I could do so, because as it is, I would score 4 points, black would score 2 points for that. But if I gave up a white machine part, black's not getting 2 points, I'm stealing it from him, so I'm getting 2, 4, 6 points for that. And if I don't choose not to use my bot, I'm going to gain an additional 2 points for taking, for providing a machine part, even though I have a bot. So I'm getting 2, 4, 6, 8 points in that case. As the weather gets worse, there may be other additional machine parts required to run the prototype, but I digress. Those are all the available actions in the game. Get supply, get research tokens by placing out bots and machine parts, or placing, just paying the extra government to be able to trigger one of the available actions, flip it over, plus get the benefit where it intersects. Place out here for the, to run the prototype, publish a paper, put bots out here to then be able to build the prototype, and this is to be able to build the prototype and have a breakthrough. The only thing we haven't talked about is how those run. Let's do that real quick. These pretty easy. If, in our example earlier, let's say AI had put one out here and maybe Martin had put one out there. At the end of that round, hey, is it all full? Yes. And let's say it were like this. There. It's still up here. It's still going to run. So what happens? During phase B, we're going to run the weather machine. If it runs, each player with a bot in the active branch returns your bots from the active branch to your workshop. So in other words, I would take this guy back, and if I have room there, there, or there, I would put it. If I don't, unfortunately, it will come back into here. But as it is, I do have room. Then Martin would get to do the exact same. And then you can pay a number of science vouchers as depicted on it. So in this case, 1 science voucher. And then you're going to score that amount of points multiplied by the number of bots that you returned. So if I had 3 bots there, that'd be 15 points. Then you'll either get one of those 2 benefits regardless of how many bots you took. Even if I had multiple bots, I'm not going to get these multiple times. I'm either going to get an investment token or the machine parts. Easy enough. If, however, getting back to our example from earlier, if he's there and we get to phase B, everybody takes 1 action, and then we get into phase B, we look, does the weather machine run? The answer is no, because not all 3 bots are there, or even if all 3 bots were there, if that tile was not out here, then it would not run. So what happens in that case? Well, all players with bots in the active branch can choose to return their, can choose to, maybe not, and then if the experiment is out here, so for argument's sake, let's say it were like that. We are on snow. The snow tile, there is at least 1 snow tile out here. That will be removed from the game, and then these will fill in. And that is one of the triggers for the end of the game when you get the last tile out here. Okay? So this is where the timing of this comes in, because after that, he's going to move over to there. And if this doesn't run, well, there's the rain one, so that's going to come off. Rinse and repeat. Then he goes over to wind. Wind is out there. If that doesn't run, that's going to come off the board. And it's going to advance the game. That's why I said about 12 rounds. Okay? Ay vey. Then you go through, you do that until either all of the all the tiles have been placed out there, or 1 player gets the Nobel Prize. What do you get for the Nobel, or how do you get it? Remember what we did right here for breakthroughs? Get 3 of those, 3 awards. So once somebody has acquired 3 of these bad boys, 1, 2, 3, that will trigger the end of the game. Everybody plays 1 more turn. Right, or all 15 of those spots are covered by bots, or all 15 of those spots are covered by bots. Then you go into final scoring, which is pretty simple. It's this stuff. These are score your funding tracks. Then 5 points for every goal tile that you hopefully have had on your board, which we didn't cover that. I'll cover that in a second. And then 5 points for the Nobel Prize. Whoever has the most points wins. Last thing. Said I wasn't going to teach it, yet here I am. Damn it. Very first thing you do on your turn. Either flip over 1 of these subsidy tiles, there we go, or use a investment tile. So flipping these over, pretty simple. There, boom, get whatever's on there. Once it's yellow, it's done. Remember, when it came from the board, even if it was yellow, it comes over to the it comes to you on the blue side. So that is one option. The other option is to use an investment tile. If you use an investment tile, it goes back into the supply, and this is where you get a goal. A goal will then immediately go onto your player board in one of the 2 matching color spots. So this will go to one of those 2. You get whatever's pictured. Or if you already have one on there, you can either choose to place another one and get the pictured bonus, or in lieu of that, flip it over. When you flip it over, it's going to show whatever the track is for that. So obviously these 2 are for the government, these 2 are for the lab, and these 2 are for R&D. Why does that matter? Well, let's take a look here at the tracks. Oop. There we go. When you flip that over, wherever your marker is, let's say my marker is right there, you get whatever is below it and to the left. So you would advance on any one track, one spot, you would get a chemical for free, and you would get one voucher of your choice. So there you go. The only difference, that does that, that does that. This one, however, you only get the one that you are directly above. You don't get the ones to the left. Whew. Sheesh. So much for not teaching the game. There we go. Hey, Ian's here. All right. What's up, Ian? Good. That's not how tonight was supposed to go. I should have known better, but anyway. So there you go. I haven't really interacted with chat. I know Vital's been in there chiming in a whole bunch. Are there any questions? Did I miss anything for y'all? Again, that's not going to be a full teach. That was ugly. That was a, hey, let's fumble through it after one play, but you get the idea. Hopefully that shows the flow, right? So, get supplies, and then you're going to need bots, you're going to need chemicals, and you're going to need machine parts out here to be able to place machine parts and bots out here to be able to get research tiles. You're going to need to place bots and chemicals out here to get research tiles, and then you will unlock these to be able to use citations to fill those up. And then when these machines run, you will then get these tiles to then be able to have breakthroughs and help. Oh, and I didn't even talk about the government. The government helps fill these up, but nonetheless, there you go. But that's it. So get these tiles, publish papers, get breakthroughs. That's kind of the flow, right? Get supplies to get research tiles, to publish papers, to be able to get breakthroughs and run the machine. That's it. All right? There you go. So, yeah, for those that are wondering, the box is typical Vital egg size. It's the same as the Gallerist, same as Kanban, same as Vinos, the whole 9 yards. The higher level extreme weather tiles, does the art get more extreme? Let's take a look. Sure. Here. How heavy is the cardboard compared to... well, I know Shrey's still here, and he played it with me on Saturday. I think the initial learning curve, having to learn from the rulebook and teach ourselves, this was pretty hard to understand things. And the other thing that really, really tripped us up was this timing mechanism here can be a real pain in the butt, but it feels really good when you figure out the timing of it and trying to anticipate where things will be. Because the movement of the assistant as he moves along and where the tiles are, it's either going to churn through these pretty quick or not very. And ours went through pretty quick because of the way things went. And the other thing that we realized is we really want to piggyback and kind of help each other, but not really. Like, we want to be able to make sure that these can get done. So you want to have bots out here, and you don't necessarily need all one player to have bots. Same goes with out here, and using the AI's bots that he will place out here as well is beneficial because there's only 2 spots in a couple of these. So if the AI ends up putting one out here, it's only one to be able to fill the other to be able to trigger that experiment. So, all right. Anyway, the weather machine, let's take a look at the rain one. So the rain, that is the level 1. And when rain is fixed, there's no rain. Because when these 3 get filled, either through players or through the government, and the government happens when all 3 of these are filled, it will then take one of its markers and put it over there with the matching weather. So that is the level 1. That is the level 2. And notice it's flooding now. And for the nor'easter, it's getting worse. Things are underwater now. So there's that. This is fun. Let's see. So the wind, just a little breeze over there on the edge. Things are starting to fly around. That's not ideal. And trees are completely uprooted and bad things happen there. Okay. Sun. So still got some water in there. Well, now we have a dry riverbed and wildfires. Okay. Then fog. So the fog one is, all right, it's a little hazy, a little foggy out on the bay. Oh, it's moving in. Okay. And can't see squat now. And the snow. All right. So nice little alpine village. Oh, wow. We're probably snowed in for a few days. We're snowed in for the season. So there you go. Okay. There you go. One other thing I wanted to show, and man, this is gonna, yeah, I wanted to show it. I'm gonna not make a huge mess like I want to do, so y'all are gonna have to just give me a moment on this, because I'm not gonna just dump it like I normally do, because, well, I have to get ready for tomorrow's play. So give me a second. I'm going to show you all the other side of the board. It's worth the wait, I think. So now, having known how to play the game, I'm curious to see how the other side looks. Yeah, do it the other way. Oh, this pains me. I think I got it all. I did, just about. Oh! Gonna have to find the rest of those parts, sorry, Shrey. There you go. There's the back side. Thought that looked real pretty. Vital and Ian. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Hey. All right, cool. I have no answers for anything on the Kickstarter. I have no knowledge of that. I simply said, hey, how about I do the live stream, you know, do like a little sneak peek here. And I don't know how to do anything little, so it's always an hour minimum. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, I don't know anything about premium metal bits. Daniel, sorry about that. So yeah, Kickstarter I have nothing to do with. I'm a partner with Eagle-Gryphon in the sense that we do playthroughs for a lot of their games, all their Vital games and heavier games, and that's it. So, can't tell you. And this I just wanted to do because I knew folks were excited about it. All right? So hopefully you all enjoyed it. Give it a like down below, subscribe. Consider supporting the show right there. Patreon.com/HCHQ. Certainly would appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited to play this again tomorrow. And if you are a patron, I'm sure that Shrey and Martin will give their thoughts in Slack on the game, since it's going to be a sponsored playthrough, so we're not going to do a roundtable discussion on it. But it was hard to wrap our head around the timing of things, the speed of things, and how to make. It didn't feel like we were doing a lot, and it felt like the game was spinning, like going way too quick for what it was we were doing. And then by the end of the game, we kind of all had that aha moment, like, oh, we shouldn't be these are the things we need to do to then be able to do the, okay, now it makes sense. So it took us almost an entire full game for us to really wrap our heads around what it is we were trying to do. And so I think Tuesday's game will be considerably better. And as far as we won't struggle as much from a what are we trying to do, more of a how best do we do that? And that's what you want in these types of games, right? All right. Playtime, with us learning the game and fumbling our way through and not really getting a good feel for things. The first game, 3 players, I think that took us about 3.5 hours. And that includes learning from the rule book. Coming in cold. And which, to me, that wasn't really bad at all. But I bet you on Tuesday, having the game set up, not having to go through the rules, we'll probably have it played in 2 hours. That's my guess. All right. Where does this one fit weight, complexity-wise, among other? It felt about on par with like a Kanban, I think. But that's after one play, so I hesitate to give too much credence on that because I like to play it a few times before I really want to give any kind of like thing on that. And it also kind of reminds me in some regards to Vinos in that, wow, you really are limited on the number of actions. Oh, but wait, don't forget about all those subsidy tiles. Taking subsidy tiles or getting the extra actions from subsidy tiles, don't sleep on that because that's kind of like the barrels in Vinos in the top right-hand corner of the board. I forget the area up there. The wine experts, being able to take extra actions is going to be huge in this. So yeah, getting subsidy tile actions. Not necessarily claiming the subsidy tiles, which that also because you're going to be able to get the benefit of those, but being able to go to where that intersection gives you the benefit, but you also get to do what the subsidy tile says. I think that's going to be really important because extra actions are going to be important. All right. Yeah, did we have fun on our first game? Yeah, we did. I think tomorrow's game will be even more enjoyable because now we won't be fighting the what the hell are we supposed to be doing. It'll be the how best do we do it. And I think that's where I would say just in general, treat that first game that when y'all get your copy next year, treat your first game as a learning game. Very much pull levers, try and figure it out. And then the second game is where I think it really will start to blossom. I really do think that. Yeah, well, and Vital said between Kanban and Vinos, same type of planning in Kanban and limited actions like Vinos. So, yay, nailed it. All right, cool. Here we go. Did it feel like you were controlling the weather? No, because of the fact that we didn't really know what it was we were supposed to be doing, but I'll be able to answer that better after tomorrow's play. Okay? All right. Well, there we go. Yeah, there you go. So that is a sneak peek overview of Weather Machine. So a couple things about the Kickstarter that I do know. I know Paul Grogan over on Gaming Rules, he's going to be doing I think a 3-player playthrough. I think his might be going live before the campaign. So if you want to see a recorded playthrough, his is going to be up over on his channel, Gaming Rules. And we're going to be doing a playthrough early in the Kickstarter campaign. So if I'm right that it goes live on the 11th, and I don't want to commit to an exact day yet, it will probably be, my guess is 15, 16, somewhere around there. We will probably be doing a playthrough of this live for the campaign. All right, so look for that over on Gaming Rules, and then look for the live playthrough here on Heavy Cardboard. All right, so there we go. Cool. All right, thanks everybody. Certainly appreciate it. Vital, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you hanging out and answering questions for folks. It's good to see you in a sense, and thanks to everybody else that hung out. It made this worthwhile. It made this worth showing off to y'all, and hopefully, even though it was a bit of a fumble because I'm not ready to teach the game yet, hopefully at least gives you a piecemeal idea on how the game works. Even if it was a bit stilted and juddery here or there, it'll be much more fluid when I do the live stream, I promise. All right, and Vital says play with 4 players. Our play tomorrow is going to be 4 players. If I can figure out how to fit all 4 player boards and the board on here, we may do a live stream of it 4 players. We'll see how that works, because it's not small. All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a great night. We will be back Wednesday with a playthrough of Fresh Fish. There's an oldie but a goodie. And yeah, that's it. And maybe something else later on this weekend and stuff. So be kind to one another. Wear your masks if you're in any kind of enclosed spaces. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody over at Eagle-Gryphon and Vital and everybody else. Y'all have a good night. Take care, everybody.